Recording going. Recording in progress. So hello and welcome to our January meeting for the Greater Fredericksburg chapter of the American Recorder Society. I am your host, Kelly Kasich. And this month we are having a 12th night celebration, even though the 12th night happened back on Thursday. Was it Thursday? Nope, it happened on Wednesday. We're just a little late to the celebration, but it's good music, so I don't think anybody will mind. And let me share my screen with y'all. Can everybody see the screen? Thumbs up? All right. So we are talking about Twelfth Night, or music from Elizabethan England. And the reason we're associating Twelfth Night with Elizabethan England is because Twelfth Night celebrations were a big deal in Tudor and Elizabethan England. So we have a lot of music and a lot of plays and a lot of revelries from that time period. So we'll start with our little presentation here. What is Twelfth Night? Twelfth Night is the evening of January 5th, or the 12th day of Christmas. January 5th is the eve before Epiphany, and Epiphany is when the wise men are said to have presented their gifts to the infant Jesus in the Christmas story. In Tudor England, the 12th night was celebrated with special food, singing, dancing, general merrymaking, and in Elizabethan England, we add to our merrymaking plays. And the big playwright was, of course, Shakespeare. So 12th night was also much bigger celebration than Christmas Day. So we've kind of front-loaded our Christmas celebrations to be Christmas Eve and Christmas Day nowadays. In fact, we start getting ready for Christmas in Halloween with all the trees in the store at that time. But they pushed all of their celebrations to the end of the Christmas season. All right. So because Shakespeare was such a big deal in Elizabethan England, we've got a lot of comedies and wonderful plays that could have been displayed during that season. So for the purpose of our discussion, we are going to assume that the person named William Shakespeare is the person who actually wrote the plays. There are many theories about who William Shakespeare really was, and if you'd like to explore some of those other hypotheses, actually, such as William Shakespeare was really Francis Bacon under a pseudonym, or Edward de Vere, I put some links in our webpage and you can go knock yourself out. But we're going to assume that William Shakespeare is actually William Shakespeare for the purpose of our discussion. William Shakespeare was born in 1564, supposedly in Stratford-upon-Avon, and is thought to have produced the bulk of his work between 1583 and 1613. His first plays may have been performed in London as early as 1592, and Shakespeare acted as well as wrote, and is listed as still acting in 1608, though some contemporary accounts indicate that he had retired around 1610, and he died in 1616 at the very young age of 52. So let's just look a little bit at the role of music in Shakespeare's plays. Shakespeare's plays are filled with musical opportunities, and they are filled with actual stage directions for dancing or a song or music. In Tudor through Stuart drama, it was customary to include at least one song in all but the most serious plays. So if it was a comedy, there would be at least one song. William Shakespeare seems to have bucked that tradition by including songs or some sort of music in most of his plays, including the dramas. The music itself would have been used to move along the action or set an emotional mood, and not unlike what happens in film music today. I mean, nobody could, I think, stand to watch Star Wars without the music being there. You just need that music to move along the action and the characters, and it says that whole leitmotif. The more lavish the production, the more lavish the music would be. If a performance was given at court, they would probably employ instrumentalists, most likely lutenists, but recorder players would have been included. Instrumentalists would have been employed to accompany the songs and play background music, especially during scene changes. Small companies, however, would have probably an actor or two who could sing or play an instrument, and they would be doing most of the music making during the course of the play. In Shakespeare's plays, Shakespeare used the following character archetypes to engage in the singing, dancing, and music, and it would be the servants, the clowns and fools, the rogues, and minor characters. In fact, most of the major characters' problems or character flaws would be sung by the minor character. Kind of like, here's your problem. Have you thought about this? Most of the songs used by Shakespeare were addressed to the major character. So usually the major character wasn't the one really singing or producing music. So then we come to who was actually writing music for Shakespeare's plays at those times. And we've got a number of composers. So the tradition is, and has been, and is still, that the company would write the song, the music that was going to whatever text Shakespeare had provided. And at this time, we have Robert Johnson. So Robert Johnson's father died when he was around 13 years old, and after his father's death, Robert went to live in the household of George Carey, the second Baron Hudson. The Careys were patrons of the composer and lutenist John Dowland. So if you don't know John Dowland's music, maybe that's something we'll have to look into in a future meeting, because it's fantastic music. So if you were hanging around John Dowland and you were 13 years old, chances are at some point you'd wind up being a pretty decent lutenist and probably a pretty decent composer, because John Dowland was amazing. Robert Johnson would eventually become the lutenist for Queen Elizabeth, and he went to work at the Blackfriar Playhouse, which was the final playhouse that Shakespeare worked at. So we've got our first song for the day, Where the Bee Sucks, from The Tempest, and I have queued up in a little video here what happens when the character of Ariel begins to sing the words for As the Bee Sucks. So I have also included, if you want to read the scene, we have the full scene here, and I have a production of The Tempest online. So hopefully we can see this. In this particular scene, oh, I think we have a synopsis. I wish my little toolbar would go away so I could access my, there we go. We have a little synopsis. Prospero, who's just kind of a mischievous magician, releases Alonzo and the court party from their charmed state, so he's put a spell on all of them, and renounces the further use of his magic because it's making all sorts of problems. Alonzo restores Prospero to the dukedom of Milan, and in return, Prospero reunites him with Ferdinand. Ariel, one of the little elves that Prospero interacts with, arrives on the ship's with the ship's master and the boatswain, and they are soon joined by several other characters. All right, so now we can watch the part where Ariel actually starts to sing. So I think I've got this. Oh, wait. I think I forgot to share my sound. Could you hear any of that? No. Okay. Let me stop sharing for a second and reshare my sound. My fault. All right. So he hasn't started singing yet.
Where the bee sucks, there suck I. In the cowslip's bell I lie. There I couch when owls do cry. On a bat's back I do fly after summer men.
So as you can see, this is a pretty small production. They relied on the character himself to actually provide some singing, and I don't know who actually wrote the tune, but that would be in the tradition of Shakespeare to have a character make the music, whereas we have our own. So I am an absolute disaster at scrolling through, so does everybody have their B-sucks out? Yeah, okay. Let's play a couple parts. So in Robert Johnson's version of Where the Bee Sucks, we have two sections. One is in cut time and one is in 3/2. So when we go between two different time signatures, we have to know the common denominator of the time signature. And in this case, the common denominator is 2. That means the half bar is going to equal the half bar. So the pulse itself never changes. It's the subdivision that changes. So we'd be going, where the bee sucks, there suck I, and we're going to keep this pulse. Merrily, merrily, merrily shall I live now. So that pulse never changes. We'll start with, how about we start with soprano? So everybody needs to mute if you're playing along with the soprano part. I can mute you if you can't mute. There we go. All right, so here we go, soprano. Oops, my soprano's on backwards. 1, 2, and 1 and 2. And then I went and I repeated the merrily portion for the play along. How'd everybody do? Thumbs up? You okay? All right, alto. Let's do the alto part. Okay. So we're going to go 1 and 2 and. All right, how'd everybody do? All right, so let us then, if you want to try the tenor part, you can try it while you play along. The tenor part isn't all that different from the parts we just played. So now we're going to get the play along going. Okay, everybody ready? Here we go.
1, 2, 1, 2.
more try. Yeah? One more time? Okay, one more time. So it starts pretty quickly. Here we go. All right, here we go.
1, 2, 1, 2.
All right, you can all unmute. How'd y'all do? Yeah? So-so? Okay. We'll keep going. So let me, I wish my scroll bar would go away. My scroll bar keeps getting in my way. Go away, scroll bar, go away. Okay. So we're going to move on to the next piece. And this is by Thomas Ravencroft. He was a music theorist and an editor and composer of rounds. He was most likely trained as a choir boy at St. Paul's Cathedral in 1594, and he studied and collected folk music, kind of like, and I say here, a 16th century Bartók. If anybody's familiar with the 20th century, there were a number of composers and musicologists running all around Europe collecting folk tunes, and apparently Thomas Ravencroft was doing this in the 16th century. And he's mostly remembered as an editor for folk music. Sometimes there's not a specific song called for in a play itself, but music could be used in the background for scene changes. And this next piece was probably used as background or scene change music in Henry IV. So, yeah, Henry IV is one of the histories, Shakespeare's histories, and it's definitely not a comedy. Definitely not a comedy. But at this point in the play, the characters are in Gloucester, and it's supposed to be this idyllic setting. So that's where we get the 3 country dances from. Now, I could not find the actual scene in the full play. I do have the full play listed here. You can watch the whole thing, but like trying to find the actual moment where the music is supposed to happen was like finding a needle in a haystack. So I actually have, you can read the commentary and see the scene itself. It does indicate that there's some music that's supposed to happen there. So next we're going to be looking at 3 dances in 1. And this is in 6/4 time, and we count it in a quick 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Da 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 da. It's very visceral dance. So here we go, everybody who wants to play. Let's make sure we're muted so we don't have cross-contamination. And we'll start with the soprano. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, my bad. We have to redo this. I picked the wrong B. It's B flat. My fault. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's pretty quick. Anybody trying alto? Let's try our alto. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, two, one. Oh, my wrong notes, my fault. I'm sorry, I switched to soprano fingering. And anybody doing the tenor? Anybody want to do tenor? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. I actually like the tenor part best. All right, the bass part is actually very similar to the soprano part and the alto part. It kind of combines the two parts. So if you would like to pick your part, we will go to the play along. Pick your part. All right, here we go. It's going to start pretty quickly. Oh, apparently we get to see an ad.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Repeat. Yeah, that was pretty quick. How'd everyone do? You okay? Yeah, it goes by pretty quick. But those videos are up. You can go back to them anytime you'd like and play. We've still got 4 more pieces. All right, so John Wilson, moving on. John Wilson was also a lutenist, and he was actually the successor of Robert Johnson as principal composer for the King's Men. And he had earned a Doctor of Music from Oxford. So, yeah, he was pretty important. And his piece, Take, Oh, Take Those Lips Away, was used in Measure for Measure, and I did happen to find a portion with where Mariana is singing it. So I just have to go to it. So this is another smaller production where all of the actors have to provide their own music. So you can, if you get one of the, oopsie, sorry. if you get one of the Hollywood movies where they set the whole play, you'll get a big, musical production.
Take, oh, take those lips away that so sweetly were forsworn, and those eyes the break of day, lights that do mislead the morn.
All right.
I cry your mercy.
So, for some reason, I either found not exactly the right part in the piece. I'm sorry, the right part in the play, because Mariana is not supposed to be singing that herself. Somebody is supposed to be singing it to her, and it's not the complete text. So if you want to watch this and you find the complete text, let me know what timestamp it is, because I couldn't find it. Now, this is clearly not the tune that we're about to be playing. They had somebody playing guitar off stage, and they wrote their own tune, and that is in the tradition. So in a smaller company, the actors themselves had to find a way to make the music and set the tunes. All right, so this one is listed as being in cut time, but if you listen to a version of the lute version, it is so slow. We're going to be counting it in 4/4, so that will make Bill happy. We will be counting in 4/4. As you can see from the bottom of the page, that the melody and the oh no, it's not this one. This whole thing was written by John Wilson. It was the Robert Johnson, where the melody and the bass were written by Robert Johnson, and the harmony parts were filled in by John Wilson. So this whole one was John Wilson. And here we go. Let's start with the soprano. And we'll be counting in 4, so no cut time here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. I also want to point out, in my play along, I don't repeat the last line, I repeat the whole thing. So you'll go from the last measure back to the beginning and repeat the whole thing. Alto, it's your turn. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Anybody want to do the tenor part? Or are we good? Anybody want to do tenor? Okay, tenor. Here we go, tenors. Oh, I'm caught in my headphones. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alrighty. So, if you want to play the bass line, we're going on to the play along, so you can do the play along with your bass line if you'd like. And we will be repeating the whole thing in the play along. So, all right, grab your preferred instrument. And here we go. Oops, wait a second, because it happens pretty quickly. All right.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Repeat. All right, how'd everybody do? Okay? Yeah. So has anybody been to the American Shakespeare Theater in Stanton, Virginia? Have you ever done that? Oh my gosh, it's great because they have the theater is like a little mini replica of the Globe Theater, and they have all the actors, you know, playing music and doing all those things, and they're usually using modern music, but you know, maybe if they stay in business, I'm really hoping they stay in business through all this COVID craziness, that they can hire us to play scene change music. You think? Are we ready to be hired?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're ready to be hired.
Yeah, we're hot.
We have a Shakespeare festival every summer.
You do?
We did.
Oh.
We don't do it anymore, but and we never got asked to play in the play, but they would have musicians from around town play before the play, and so we had a recorders. 3 or 4 of us would play. We played for several years.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah. So, and then we got to see the play for free.
That's nice. Well, if you go and you get a chance, and they're still in operation, the American Shakespeare Theater in Stanton, Virginia, and they have the actors they play prelude music, so they play before the play. They do all the musical cues during the play. They even do a little bit during intermission. So it's like these people do not stop moving and talking and making sound from before the play starts until the play ends. They're very good. They do a very good job. All right, our next piece is Sweet Oliver, and this is a hunting song. This is another one where I just could not find the scene where this is supposed to happen. So I do have read the scene, some commentary, and the full play if you'd like to. But what happens is the synopsis is Touchstone, desiring a goat keeper named Audrey, has arranged for a country priest to marry them in the woods. I found like some of that happening, but I couldn't find the actual part. And Jacques persuades Touchstone to wait until he can have a real wedding in the church. And, you know, whenever you're in the woods and no good is happening, because this is a comedy, you're going to wind up with some sort of musical shenanigans. So this piece, Sweet Oliver, is an English hunt song, and it's in good old-fashioned 6/8. Yeah, they even gave us the cues about where this was supposed to go, and I just could not find it in the full play. So I have the full play linked. If you can find it, let me know what the timestamp is. I could not find scene 3 in Act 3 to save my life. All right, so we'll start with soprano. This is just good old-fashioned 6/8. Oh, great. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I don't remember if I repeated. I think I repeated in the play along. I actually don't remember what I did because it's so short. So here we go. Let's have alto. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, anybody playing tenor? All right, here we go. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you might notice that I really couldn't find any biographical information on John Whitfield. Every time I looked up his name, some modern guy came up and it was John Whitefield. And so, yeah, I had a hard time finding anything about this piece. But grab your preferred instrument and we'll do the play along. All right, let's go start quickly.
1, 2, 1, 2.
How'd we do? Okay? Yeah, that's not the worst of them. Oh, my toolbar's in my way again. All right, so there were occasions in Shakespeare where it actually just says, a dance or instrumental with no words. Instrumental music was used, and sometimes that would be used as scene change music, and sometimes it would be an instruction within the text that says a dance, so and so dances, right? And so we have the Sinkapace Galliard, and this one shows up apparently in several pieces or several plays, but I chose to go find the spot in Twelfth Night because this is our 12th night celebration. We have a party. We should all have a stein of mead or ale with us. I feel like we should have mead. Okay. Let me pull up the scene. I actually found this scene. The synopsis: at the estate of Lady Olivia, so Sir Toby Belch, what a wonderful name, Sir Toby Belch, and he is pretty gross. Olivia's kinsman has brought in Sir Andrew Aguecheek to be her suitor. Maria, Olivia's lady-in-waiting, says that Andrew is a fool, and Andrew himself doubts his ability to win Olivia. But Toby encourages him to woo her, and as the scene ends, the actual instruction in the text says that they dance. So, oops, full play. So this is also another small production, and it seems that for the most part they have one actor who kind of plays guitar and kind of sings, and he does the majority of the music, but we're going to see what happens here. Okay, so
Heart. No, sir, it is legs and thighs. Come, let me see thee caper. Fill the cup and let it come higher. Let's drink until the cup is done. Excellent. Fill the cup and let it come. I've led you around to the bottom. Let's drink until the cup is done. Who dies is not God brought him.
okay, so that scene went really fast. You could see that they not only had to dance as per the instructions in the text, but then they made up their own dance and their own music to go with it and use it to change the scene. So they did quite a lot with just that little tiny instruction that said Sir Toby and Andrew dance. So now we'll go to our Sinkapace. The counting on this one gets really squirrely in the third section. Each section is repeated. You know what? I think we'll rehearse it that way with the repeat so when we get a chance to do all of the counting. We are in 3/2 time. Yeah, it just gets a little squirrely in the counting, but we'll make it happen. Here we go. It's not too fast for Galliard. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Repeat. 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 How'd everyone do on that counting there? So yeah, it gets just a smidge squirrely. All right, altos. Our counting is a little bit easier than the soprano and the tenor. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Repeat. 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 How'd you do? Okay, Bill? No? A little squirrely? All right. Let's... does anybody want to tackle the tenor part? No? Okay. Vicky, did you want to tackle the tenor part? No? Okay, we'll just go into the play along then. I think our last piece is more fun anyway. All right. Pick the instrument that you want to get lost on. Yeah, the bass is probably the easiest one to count. All right, here we go. Oh, we get an ad. Okay.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Everyone survived that one? Kinda? All right. Okay. Well, we'll go on to our last piece for the day. Oh, my toolbar is again in the way. I can't close things. So my toolbar goes away. Oh.
I have a question. What line am I supposed to play?
You're going to play the bottom line.
Okay.
For our last one? Okay, so Thomas Morley was a composer, theorist, and keyboard player. So unlike a lot of the composers that we've been dealing with today, most of these pieces have been done for lute. And then they've been transcribed over for recorder, but he was a keyboard player, and he also wrote a lot of chamber music. So he knew Robert Johnson. He lived in London at the same time as Shakespeare, and he did set a number of songs, including It Was a Lover and his last from As You Like It, to music. Morley is known more for his secular instrumental music, and as far as I can tell, the Canzonet we're using today does not show up in any Shakespeare play, although I don't see why it couldn't have been used for scene change music or anything like that, at least as far as I can tell. I just really like this one. So let me pull up our play along. I do have a note correction for everybody playing alto. That's the bottom line. Measure 3 instead of those D's. Those should be C's. So in measure 3, the alto line, the measure got mistransposed. They should be C's. So it should be a half note C and a quarter note C. And then measure 5, the half note D should also be a C instead of a D. So everything else is good. Oh, we got a little chat here. Oh, Jim says, that's my fault. He transposed the alto line from alto clef for me and just missed a couple notes. No big deal. So we've had a lot of pieces that were transcribed over from lute, and they were fairly contrapuntal, meaning that different lines were moving at different times. This one is very homophonic, meaning basically everybody moves at the same time to make these cool chords. So you can play this with either the alto or the tenor on the bottom line, and then 2 sopranos, so soprano 1 and soprano 2. And it does go pretty quickly. We won't rehearse quickly, but the piece is pretty fun. So let's start with the first soprano line. For our rehearsal, we'll skip the repeats. We'll just go straight through. Okay? So here we go. Soprano 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So just for the purpose of rehearsing, we're just using second endings. All right, second soprano part. I suppose you could also play like the whole thing on tenors if you wanted to. Soprano, tenor 1, tenor 2. You could probably do it that way too. I think you need a soprano on the top one though. All right, second soprano line. No repeats right now. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, and for everybody doing alto or the last line, and the bottom line could also be done on tenor if you wanted to do it on tenor. I think it would work. So here we go, alto line, and we've changed measure 3 and measure 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. right. Let me put this down. I just can't leave any Elizabethan music without having a little Thomas Morley. So, all right. Here we go. Grab your preferred instrument. Last one of the day.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that one does go at quite a quick clip. So, all right, that is what I have for you today and our 12th night celebration. So I'm going to stop the recording and then we can talk. All right, do you want to stop the recording?